Now, the upside of all of this constant coverage was that everybody got to see it live in full color when the hostage negotiators finally managed to get one of the girls released. On the morning of October 14th, so the first morning of the hostage situation when it all first began, the police had cut the power to the apartment building. And because of that, Lindenburgg, Naara, and LOL were sitting in the dark with no air conditioning. And late October is basically early summer in South America. So the police called him to remind him that, you can't stay locked up in this apartment forever. You need to work with us and start working toward a resolution. It's going to get very hot, very stuffy, all of the things. So Lindenburgg agreed to release one more hostage to show that he could be cooperative. And that is how Naara got free, which you would think is a miracle and a blessing, right? But here is where this next part of the story gets horrifying. After Naara got free, the police pulled her aside and did all of the usual things that you would do after a hostage gets away from their captor. They made sure that she wasn't physically hurt. They asked for a statement. They wanted to get more insight into what things were like inside that apartment. And then once she was done with that line of questioning, she got to go home. She got to be with her family. But she only was allowed to spend one night with her family, because the next morning, the officers showed back up right at her front doorstep, and they told her that they needed her help. Because she understood Lindenburgg better than anybody else did, better than they did, I should say, she had more of a connection with him. She knew how to talk to him, according to the officers. So according to the police, Naara needed to go back into that apartment with her captor to help them with this investigation. I mean, I have no words. It's absurd. You finally rescue this 15-year-old girl who has been held hostage for days. You finally get a win and you get her out of harm's way, and then you're going to send her right back into the arms of her captor? A 15-year-old girl, it doesn't matter if she's an adult, a child, whatever, but this girl is 15, and you're going to pose it as because she's the only one who understands him? I'm sorry, try doing your mother effing job and get the experts in there, the hostage negotiators. I would imagine they are way more qualified to understand him and to reason with him than a 15-year-old girl. It's unbelievable. Especially because when you really think about it, the hostage negotiators had already convinced him to release Naara. They were making progress. Things were going well. So they could have continued to use those same methods and tactics to try and get LOL released too. But instead of building on the success that they had, they just wanted Naara, who, remember, was only 15 years old and still in high school. They wanted her to go back into the dangerous situation, to put her life on the line to help them. Not to mention, she had been through an incredibly traumatic experience. She was held at gunpoint for almost a full 24 hours, and she had only just gotten her freedom. And you want to throw her back in there? And they had promised her that she wouldn't have to go back inside, that she could just stand outside the door and talk to Lindenburgg through the door. But that was a lie. Because during their hostage negotiations, he said explicitly that he wanted her back inside that apartment with him. He wanted her to be his hostage again. And the police knew that she would never agree to that, so they lied to her, and they said that it was a safer situation than what she realized, that she should go back inside. And they said, it's what you have to do to save your best friend. Can you imagine? So because of that, she agreed. On the morning of October 16th, the start of day 4 of this hostage situation, about a day and a half after her release, Naara went back inside this apartment. Now, as soon as she got to the front door of the apartment, it swung open, and Lindenburgg just grabbed her and yanked her inside, all while none of the officers made any move to stop him. The reason being, because they made a deal with him. He could have her back. And just like that, Lindenburgg was back to having 2 hostages, 2 young, teenage, helpless girls. And it's probably no wonder that this hostage situation dragged out for a full 100 hours over the course of 4 full days.